She's an amazing partner. And then when a few years ago, we started talking about, might we want to take Alice's book and the stage musical and maybe with some Easter eggs from Steven's movie and make a new movie for a new audience, a new generation. And I said, why don't we put the band back together and get you and Quincy and Steven together? So suddenly these legacy producers from the first film and me got together and started to make plans to put this new movie together for 2023-24.
Amazing. And it's so incredible that you and The Color Purple go way back. What is it about this version, the 2023 version, that makes it so special to you?
I love all the versions, and if you're a fan of The Color Purple, you're gonna love this one too. And if you don't know anything about The Color Purple, this movie stands on its own as a beautiful film. The thing that I think that's really remarkable about this movie, and it's the first time this story's ever been told this way, is that we go into Celie's imagination.
Yeah.
And you've got this character who's so strong and so powerful and perseveres and finds her voice and finds self-love and is not seen in the beginning of the story. And by the end of the story, she is indeed seen, and she's a fully realized human being and woman. And so the magical realism that was infused as a vocabulary in the storytelling, as well as the music, really opens up the story from an entertaining point of view and from a understanding of who this character is and what she's really going through on her journey.
Yeah. And the cast is simply sensational. Like, it's honestly amazing. Was it you who first called up Fantasia to play Celie and she turned it down originally? Was it you who called her to make that decision?
I was lucky enough back on Broadway after LaShawne's started the role of Celie and won the Tony Award, and then it was time for her to leave, and it was time to recast. And I remember being in New York and thinking, who could play Celie? And I thought about Fantasia and called her up and said, can you come? She had never been to a Broadway show before. And we invited her to a Broadway show, and I asked her if she would play Celie on Broadway. And she did it brilliantly for 9 months. And it was very hard on her, however, because she was not a trained actress, and she really embodied the characteristics of Celie. And I think emotionally it was a tough role for her. So all these years later, when Blitz and Oprah and Steven and Quincy and I were talking about casting this film, we said, what about Fantasia again? And she was reluctant in the beginning. She said, that was a hard emotional role for me to play. If I'm going to play it again, I'm going to have to open up those wounds and revisit all of that. I'm married now. I have kids. And so I talked to her. Then Blitz went to meet with her, and he showed her how this new magical realism was going to change the way this role would be portrayed and how new audiences would appreciate who Celie was. And I think she thought, this is a time for me to take this on again. And thankfully, it was not as taxing on her emotionally.
Yeah, well, we do appreciate that she, came on board in
Absolutely.
the end. She's
and nobody has
fantastic.
a voice like that.
Exactly.
And her acting, oh my God, her acting.
It's so good. And how do you and the other producers want people to feel after watching the film?
We want you to feel uplifted. We want you to feel that you can see the possibilities in your life. We want you to feel joyful. And we want you to feel healed if you need to be healed.
Nice. That was great. Thank you so much for speaking to me.
Appreciate
I absolutely
it.
loved watching it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.